Can anyone tell me what the words were that we responded to in the responsorial psalm? God is with us. Amen. Thanks be to God. And that's a truth that we all know. All of us know that God is with us. And yet, sometimes if we look at our lives, we don't feel that God's with us, right? We feel like God has abandoned us, or when we're in darkness, we question. But God is with us. No matter how we feel, God is always, always with us, always at our side. Even if we fall into despair and anguish and even sin, God is with us, and God never, ever stops loving us. And that is such a reason for hope and consolation that, of course, God doesn't want us to stay in our sin, but He loves us in our sin. Even in our sin, He loves us. But He loves us too much to let us stay there. He wants us to get up and to keep going, keep walking the way towards heaven. But I just want to emphasize this point that God is with us at all times. And it's a truth that we can't hear enough, because life sometimes is hard. Life can feel like it crushes us. And yet we can't forget that the love that God has for me does not depend on my feelings with God. It doesn't depend on if I feel those warm, fuzzy feelings inside when I go to pray, or if I feel the presence of God in my heart. It has nothing to do with that. God is with us, period, at all times, in all places. In the gospel, we see these saints, James and John, who probably at the time were not so saintly. That's why they were wanting to call down fire from heaven to consume these people that did not respond to God's call, God's invitation. And we can think about our own lives and hearts. I'm sure, or at least I hope, none of you have asked Jesus for that fire fall down from heaven and consume, Richardson or Plano or, any of Dallas, right? No one's done that? Good. But sometimes in our hearts, when someone doesn't perhaps respond to the grace of God the way we want to in a conversation, or we realize, quote unquote, how someone is, we want to write them off. We want to put them in a category. In some way, we want fire coming down from heaven to destroy those people. Maybe not literally, but in our hearts, we barricade our hearts from those people that don't respond to or don't live in the way that we want them to. And there's an aspect of control in that. We want to control our families, our friends, other parishioners perhaps. And what is our response? What should our response be when people don't maybe behave the way we want or live the way we want? Love. To love them and continue to love them and to win their hearts for Christ by loving them. Instead of judging them, instead of putting them in a category, in a box, try to understand why they are the way they are and love them in that. So we ask in this Mass that we show the love of God, that the love of God shines forth from our lives, that we love with the same love of God, and so win many converts to Christ. Amen.